Imagine a massive stadium, floodlights blazing, thousands of supporters waving banners and chanting the name of one man, Donald Trump. Cameras flash, reporters push microphones closer, and the entire atmosphere feels electric. This isn't just another rally. This is a showdown waiting to happen. The crowd roars louder as Trump steps onto the stage, wearing his trademark grin, ready to dominate the spotlight. But tonight something unexpected is brewing. With the confidence of a showman, Trump raises his hand to silence the noise, leans into the microphone, and lets out words that cut sharper than a knife. A direct insult aimed at former President Barack Obama. His tone is mocking, his choice of words deliberate, meant not just to ridicule, but to humiliate in front of millions watching live. The stadium erupts. Some cheer, others gasp, while journalists scramble to capture every second. For a moment it seems as if Trump has won the crowd, bending the atmosphere to his will. Yet somewhere in that electrified silence between cheers and whispers, a shift begins. Because when you attack a man like Barack Obama, history suggests you should be prepared for a response. And not just any response, something calculated, something powerful, something unforgettable. What no one in that stadium knew, what the cameras couldn't predict, was that Obama himself was about to enter this narrative. Calm, composed, ready. And with just a single sentence, he would flip the script entirely, shaking not just the rally, but the foundations of political drama itself. Tonight wasn't about applause. It wasn't about who shouted the loudest. Tonight was about a line, one sentence, that would echo across the nation, leaving everyone speechless. To understand the tension of that night, we need to rewind the clock. The rivalry between Donald Trump and Barack Obama isn't a new chapter. It's a story years in the making. Long before Trump stood on that stage, before he ever entered the White House, he had already made Obama one of his favorite targets. It started with whispers, then accusations, and eventually, public campaigns questioning Obama's very identity. Trump built his early political spotlight on the controversial birther conspiracy, claiming Obama wasn't truly American. It was a claim designed to shock, to divide, and to place himself at the center of attention. Obama, during his presidency, rarely lowered himself to respond directly, but when he did, his wit was sharp. At the White House Correspondents' Dinner in 2011, Obama roasted Trump in front of Washington's elite. Cameras caught Trump stone-faced, refusing to laugh while the room roared. Many said that night planted a seed in Trump's mind, a determination to rise higher, to prove himself by winning the ultimate prize, the presidency. Years later, that seed grew into reality. Trump took office in 2010, succeeding the very man he had once mocked. And though Obama had stepped back, the shadow of his legacy loomed over Trump's every move. Healthcare, foreign policy, social issues. Trump seemed driven not just to govern, but to dismantle what Obama had built. Their rivalry wasn't just political, it was personal. By the time of this fictional rally, the tension was at boiling point. Trump, confident and fiery, was eager to remind his supporters of his dominance over the old guard. For him, ridiculing Obama wasn't just a punchline. It was a strategy to keep the spotlight and fuel his base. But Obama's silence had always been strategic, never a sign of weakness. He knew that sometimes the most powerful weapon wasn't shouting back. It was waiting for the right moment. That's why the stage was set so perfectly. The crowd thought they were about to witness another Trump victory lap. But in the shadows of Hat Stadium, the story was quietly flipping. Because when Obama finally stepped forward, the years of rivalry, the years of insults, and the years of restraint all converged into one defining moment. The night was loud, electric, and almost overwhelming. Flags waved like restless waves in a storm. Chants of USA, USA shook the walls. and the stage lights painted everything in red, white, and blue. Donald Trump basked in the energy like a king surveying his kingdom. Every pause in his speech, every smirk on his face, was met with deafening applause. He knew how to command a crowd, and tonight he was eager to deliver a line that would cut deeper than ever before. He leaned forward, gripping the podium, eyes scanning the sea of faces. Then, with that familiar mocking tone, he dropped the grenade. "You know, folks," Trump began, stretching out the words for dramatic effect, "I still don't understand how we let a guy named Barack Hussein Obama tell us what America should be. Honestly, was he even American enough to begin with? I mean, let's be real. If he loved this country so much, why does every decision he made look like it was designed to weaken us?" The crowd erupted. A section of his supporters jumped to their feet, cheering, clapping, whistling. Others laughed loudly, nodding at one another, as if Trump had just said what they all secretly thought. Yet not everyone in the audience was smiling. The camera lenses zoomed in on shocked faces, some silent, some shaking their heads. In the press gallery, reporters glanced at one another, their fingers racing across keyboards. This wasn't just an insult, it was a public gut punch. Trump, sensing the energy, pressed harder. "He talked a lot about hope, didn't he? Hope this, hope that. But what did hope do for you? Nothing, absolutely nothing. All it did was give him a book deal, and you got stuck with the mess." He raised his hand, theatrically shrugging, as laughter rippled through the crowd. "Honestly, the guy should have been a motivational speaker, not a president." The stadium shook with noise. Cheers, laughters, bar claps. But then came the boos, faint at first, but growing louder. A pocket of the audience wasn't buying it. Some stood still, their arms crossed, refusing to cheer. And in that contrast, one half of the stadium laughing, the other half frowning, the tension thickened like smoke. Trump smirked, confident that he had once again stolen the spotlight. But what he didn't expect was the sudden hush that swept over the venue, as if someone had pressed mute on the entire crowd. Heads turned, eyes widened, and the cameras swung to the side entrance of the stage. There he was, Barack Obama, calm, composed, not with anger in his eyes, but with a steady confidence that filled the air more powerfully than the roar of the crowd. The silence was deafening, and in that silence, one thought dominated every mind. What is Obama going to say? Everyone leaned forward, hearts pounding, waiting for the moment. Because when you're insulted in front of millions, your next words can either make you or break you. The hush that fell over the rally was unlike anything the cameras had captured before. Just moments ago, the stadium was shaking with chants and laughter. But now, even the sound of a single cough seemed too loud. It was as if the entire crowd had been frozen in place. From the side of the stage, Barack Obama emerged. No flashing lights, no grand announcement, no entourage with banners. Just Obama. Hands relaxed at his side, expression calm, eyes steady. The contrast was striking. Where Trump thrived on noise, Obama carried silence with him like an invisible shield. The reporters immediately shifted gears. Microphones snapped into position. Cameramen zoomed in as if history itself was about to unfold. One voice whispered through a live broadcast, "Ladies and gentlemen, this is unexpected. Barack Obama has just stepped onto the stage, and every eye in the stadium is now locked on him." Indeed, every head had turned. Supporters, critics, undecided voters, no one could look away. Some stood in stunned respect. Others muttered under their breath, but all shared the same thought. Why is he here, and what will he say? Obama didn't rush. His walk was measured, deliberate, almost slow enough to let the tension climb higher with every step. The cheers that had followed Trump moments earlier felt like echoes from another lifetime. In their place was an eerie anticipation, the kind that makes your chest tighten because you know something unforgettable is about to happen. When Obama finally reached the podium, he didn't grab the microphone right away. He simply stood, scanning the crowd, letting the silence breathe. His presence alone seemed to challenge the storm of insults that had filled the arena just minutes earlier. He didn't need to shout, didn't need to smirk. His calmness was the weapon. A reporter's voice carried softly through the press box. Every camera is focused on one man. Every word he's about to say will be replayed across the nation tonight. All of America is waiting. All of the world is watching. Trump shifted uncomfortably behind him, folding his arms, forcing a grin. But the difference in demeanor was undeniable. Where one man looked restless, the other looked unshakable. And in that moment, as the air tightened and the silence grew heavy, one thing became clear. Barack Obama didn't need a speech tonight. He only needed one sentence. The silence in the stadium was suffocating. It wasn't the quiet of indifference. It was the silence of anticipation, of 1,000 hearts beating in sync, waiting for a single spark. Obama adjusted the microphone slightly, his calm composure never breaking. His eyes swept across the sea of faces, supporters, skeptics, jaweds, reporters, and the ever-defiant Donald Trump standing just a few feet behind him. He didn't begin with a lecture. He didn't clear his throat or fumble with notes. He simply let the pause grow longer, each second turning into a wave of tension that pressed down on the crowd. The longer he stood without speaking, the more powerful he seemed. People leaned forward, unable to blink, knowing instinctively that whatever words came next would not just answer Trump's insult, they would define the night. From the press box, a reporter whispered on live air, "He hasn't said a word yet, but you can feel it. He's about to drop something big." Then, finally, Obama leaned closer to the microphone. His voice was soft at first, almost too quiet for such a massive space, but perfectly clear through the speakers. "You know," he began, pausing again, letting the words linger. The crowd tightened. Trump's smirk faltered for the briefest second. Obama continued, his tone measured, deliberate. "There's a saying I've always believed in." Another pause. You could hear a pin drop. "The loudest man in the room," he stopped again, scanning the faces, frozen in suspense, "is always the most afraid." The reaction was instantaneous, an explosion of sound that shook the very walls of the stadium. Gasps, cheers, applause, even cries of shock filled the air. Some people leapt to their feet, fists pumping the sky. Others clutched their phones, frantically recording what they knew would go viral within minutes. Trump, caught on camera, stiffened. His forced grin disappeared, his face tightening as the line rippled through the crowd like thunder. He shifted his weight, folding and unfolding his arms, but the damage was done. The one sentence had landed, and it hit harder than any speech could have. Nito. Reporters scrambled to file their stories. "Obama fires back with devastating one-liner," their headlines would scream. Commentators would later analyze the timing, the calm delivery, the psychological blow hidden in those simple words. But in that exact moment, the stadium wasn't thinking of analysis. It was reacting, raw and unfiltered, to a masterstroke of rhetorical precision. The cheers wouldn't die down. Chants of "Obama, Obama" echoed through the arena, drowning out anything Trump might have tried to say. Even those who had cheered for Trump's insults just minutes earlier found themselves unsettled, realizing they had just witnessed a shift. With one sentence, Barack Obama didn't just respond. He turned the insult into a mirror, reflecting back insecurity, fear, and desperation. The power of silence, followed by the power of a single line, had stolen the night. And as the noise carried on, one truth became undeniable. This was no longer Trump's rally. It was Obama's moment. For a man who thrived on being the loudest voice in the room, Trump suddenly looked smaller. The cameras caught it all: the tight jaw, the darting eyes, the forced smirk that never quite settled on his face. He tried clapping half-heartedly, as if to dismiss Obama's words as a joke, but the crowd wasn't buying it. The shift was too obvious. Some of Trump's die-hard supporters shouted louder, trying to drown out the chants of "Obama, Obama" that were echoing across the stadium. "USA, USA," they cried, desperate to reclaim the energy. But the rhythm was broken. For the first time that night, Trump wasn't steering the noise. The noise was steering him. Meanwhile, Obama didn't say another word. He simply stepped back from the microphone, offering a small nod to the crowd, and walked off the stage with the same calmness he had walked in with. No follow-up speech, no dramatic gestures, just "Silio," hence that felt heavier than any argument. It was a mic drop moment without the mic ever touching the floor. Opponents of Trump erupted with excitement. "Did you hear that?" one man shouted as he filmed himself in the stands, already planning to upload the clip online. In another section, a group of college students were hugging each other, tears in their eyes, chanting Obama's name like it was 2008 all over again. But not everyone was celebrating. In the front rows, a woman in a red cap looked furious. "That was disrespectful," she yelled at the reporters scribbling notes nearby. "Trump is still our president. He's still the one in charge." Her voice cracked, but the conviction in her tone showed she wasn't ready to surrender the narrative. Outside the stadium, the real battle was already raging, on social media. Within minutes, Twitter was ablaze. Hashtags like #TheLoudestMan, #Obama mic drop, and #afraid much shot to the top of trending lists. Memes exploded across Instagram. Split screens of Trump shouting and Obama standing calmly with captions like "One talks, the other teaches." A viral tweet read, "Trump insulted Obama for 10 minutes straight. Obama needed 10 words to finish him." Another racked up millions of likes. "The loudest man in the room is always the most afraid." Obama just wrote the political quote of the decade. Late-night comedians pounced instantly. Fake headlines spread like wildfire. Obama turns Trump rally into TED Talk. Mic drop heard around the world. TikTok edits layered Obama's one-liner over dramatic music, transforming the moment into a cinematic clip replayed millions of times in hours. Cable news anchors filled their screens with the quote in bold text, panelists shouting over one another to explain its meaning. Was Obama calling Trump weak, afraid? Or had he just ended years of rivalry with a single blow? No matter the spin, one thing was certain. Trump had been outmaneuvered in his own arena. His insult had been powerful. But Obama's reply? It had become immortal. By the next morning, the world wasn't just talking. It was screaming. Every network, every headline, every radio station had latched onto Obama's one-liner like it was a lightning strike in political history. CNN ran the footage on a loop with the banner. "Obama strikes back," one sentence that shook the stadium. Their anchors leaned forward, excitement in their voices. This wasn't just a comeback, one analyst declared. It was a reminder of what presidential composure looks like. The studio replayed the moment in slow motion, zooming in on Trump's stiffened face as Obama delivered the line. On the other side, Fox News was in full defense mode. Their headline flashed boldly. "Obama disrespects President Trump in shameful outburst." A panel of commentators debated furiously. One pundit shook his head. This was arrogance, pure arrogance. He didn't just insult Trump, he insulted every American who voted for him. Another jumped in. "But don't you think the line hit too perfectly? It almost sounded rehearsed. Maybe this was staged." Meanwhile, the BBC's coverage took a more global tone. Obama's calm one-liner echoes worldwide. Their anchor described the scene with measured seriousness. It's rare to see political drama unfold with such clarity. One man shouting, the other silent. Until silence gave way to a line that may well define the decade. Analysts in London, Paris, and Sydney weighed in, noting how the moment highlighted the power of words in an age dominated by noise. Panel discussions filled the airwaves. On MSNBC, commentators praised Obama's strategy. "It's judo politics," one expert explained. "He used Trump's energy against him. Trump swung wildly, but Obama needed only a single, precise strike." But on conservative talk radio, callers were outraged. "That man has no respect," one shouted. "Trump gave him the American dream and he slapped it back in his face." The host nodded along, fanning the flames. Folks, this is exactly what the elites do. They use clever words to make real leaders look weak. Twitter clips of these debates went viral themselves, creating another wave of arguments online. Some mocked Fox's outrage. Others mocked CNN's celebration. But across the spectrum, one fact was undeniable. The sentence had hijacked the news cycle. No one was talking about Trump's rally speech anymore. They were all talking about Obama's calm, cutting line, and how it had turned the night upside down. As the stadium slowly emptied and the echoes of chants faded into the night, one truth lingered in the air. Words have power. Not the loud, brash words meant to dominate or intimidate, but words carefully chosen, words delivered with calm and conviction. Barack Obama's single sentence had done more than respond to an insult. It had reminded everyone watching that dignity and thoughtfulness could triumph over noise and arrogance. It was a lesson that went beyond politics. In a world where people often rush to yell the loudest, to prove their point with volume rather than substance, the evening had proven something timeless. Silence can be stronger than shouts, precision stronger than chaos, and a single, well-placed idea stronger than endless arguments. Obama didn't just fight back. He elevated the conversation, showing that true influence comes not from anger or theatrics, but from clarity and courage. Supporters left the arena buzzing with excitement, replaying the moment in their minds. Critics, too, paused, reconsidering what they thought they knew about power and persuasion. Social media, which had erupted in memes and debates, began to see a different tone emerge, one that recognized the elegance of composure over confrontation. People across the country discussed it, not just because it was political theater, but because it was a reminder of human potential. And the lesson is clear for all of us. Every word we speak carries weight. Every sentence has the ability to inspire, to challenge, or to deflate. How we wield that power defines who we are. One thoughtful sentence can outshine hours of noise. One act of restraint can command more attention than 1,000 angry shouts. So, as you watch the news, scroll through social media, or even navigate your own daily conversations, remember the power of choice, the power of words. Pause before reacting. Consider before responding. Speak with intent. And you may find that a single, well-chosen phrase can shift minds, hearts, and even history itself. If this story resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Comment below with your thoughts on how words can change the game, and subscribe for more stories that explore the dramatic, the unexpected, and the powerful. Because moments like these remind us all, the right words at the right time can make the impossible feel possible. Tonight, as the stadium lights dimmed, one thing was certain. Barack Obama's calm, powerful response had left a mark. Not just on Donald Trump, not just on the crowd, but on everyone who witnessed it, and on everyone who understood that in life, as in politics, words are the ultimate weapon and the ultimate gift. The world didn't just react, it erupted. Within hours of Obama's calm, cutting line, discussions were everywhere. Coffee shops, office lounges, classrooms, and living rooms became miniature newsrooms. People replayed the clip over and over, analyzing the tone, the timing, the subtle pause before the final words hit like a hammer. Social media had become a battlefield of interpretations. Some hailed Obama as the master of rhetorical precision. Others accused him of orchestrating a theatrical comeback. Yet the truth was simple. The sentence worked because it was authentic. Memes flooded the internet. A split screen of Trump mid-insult on one side and Obama standing stoic on the other became the image of the week. Instagram Reels layered dramatic music, with captions like "Silence is louder than noise" and "One line can change a nation." Even TikTok creators made comedic reenactments, exaggerating Trump's expressions while overlaying slow-motion dramatic zooms on Obama's face. Every clip, every share, every comment added momentum to the story. News panels dissected the event with the intensity of a legal case. On CNN, a political analyst broke down Obama's technique. Notice how he didn't react emotionally. He absorbed the insult, allowed the tension to build, and then delivered one precise statement. That's mastery. That's strategy. That's leadership. Across the aisle, Fox commentators defended Trump vigorously, citing his years of service and arguing that Obama's line, while clever, was meant to undermine a sitting president. Yet, even they couldn't ignore the stadium reaction. Cheers, applause, and stunned silence had spoken louder than any words. Experts chimed in with psychology analyses. Trump's approach is all about dominance through volume and aggression, one professor explained. Obama's approach? He leveraged restraint, focus, and timing. He let the insult, hang in the air, then struck with clarity. People respond to confidence and composure. Fear and overcompensation are always visible. That line revealed the truth in Trump's posture without directly saying it. The public's emotional response was equally intense. Supporters of Obama described a wave of nostalgia, recalling the hope and calm that marked his presidency. Critics were forced to reconsider their own biases, realizing that being loud doesn't always equal being right. Discussions weren't just political, they became philosophical. What does it mean to wield power responsibly? How do words shape perception? How do silence and poise carry authority? Even in fictional analysis shows, commentators debated the long-term impact. This moment will be replayed in political science classes, one said. It's a textbook example of leadership, communication, and strategy under pressure. One sentence, and the power dynamics shift. That's why it's unforgettable.